almost every spiritual tradition in the world, one aspect of those spirit traditions is taking a break from things that we normally love and take part in. And in our Jewish tradition, we have lots of instances of this with keeping kosher, only eating certain foods, and we have several days where we fast from food. We just had Tisha B'Av, which is a fast day. The most famous fast day, of course, is Yom Kippur. A lot of our children at Eden Village Camp are younger than the age to fast from food, so we've developed many alternative fasts, and it has sort of evolved into a wonderful world of spiritual practices that sometimes the children do on non-fast days. So, for example, some of the children will wear a necklace that says "in loving silence" and go for a half hour, an hour, 10 hours, 15 hours in loving silence. All right, we are live on location, still at Eden Village Camp, exploring today different spiritual practices that we do here, options for campers, and that you can try at home. Would you like to share with the friends at home in the world what unique spiritual practice you tried at camp?
I tried the speech fast during Tisha B'Av.
Could you please explain to the friends what a speech fast is?
It's when you go completely without speaking for a certain amount of time.
How did speech fasting affect your words once you started speaking again?
Well, every time I said something after, for a couple days after I ended the speech fast, it kind of felt weird because I was still kind of in the mindset of oh, I shouldn't be saying stuff. So every time I said something, it kind of felt a little strange.
Amazing. And how would you say speech fasting affected your relationship with speaking and your words?
It made me really think about what I had to say, and after I was kind of is what I'm going to say meaningful? And also just after, I was what should I say to break the fast? How should I begin my journey back into speaking?
Wow, amazing. And lastly, how would you say, why do you think it's important for people to be mindful of their words?
It's important to be mindful because oftentimes people don't realize the power that they have with their words. Just because you have a thought does not mean you have to say it, because not everything is worth saying or could hurt someone else. So it's better to think more before speaking.
And it does something wonderful to the inner world when you can learn to control your words and your speech. The next level up from that, which many of our campers do, is they tie a bandana or a cloth around their eyes and they abstain from vision. They take a fast from seeing with their eyes. And most campers report something amazing happens is that when you stop seeing with your eyes, you start seeing with your heart. You start noticing with your hands. You start noticing your feelings and your emotions more. We are exploring different unique spiritual practices at Eden Village Summer Camp. What did you do that was different?
I went on a sight fast for I think 18, 17 hours. Then there was a fox and I took off my blindfold to look at the fox. But
did you say you were doing an 18-hour vision fast and then a fox walked by in front of you and that's why you took your blindfold off?
Yeah, that's why.
Did you say 18 hours?
Yes, sir.
How'd you get around?
I had a partner. I think it was my friend Manny. He's here again this year. He's actually over there.
So would you say that you get by with a little help from your friends?
Yes.
Okay. Well, as your eyes went down, we rely on our eyes and our vision so much. And as your eyes shut down and you had to rely on other things, as the eyes went down, what woke up? What woke up inside of you as the eyes turned off?
Just thinking about more of what I'm doing and what I'm saying, and it makes I think it makes for a lot of self-awareness, and that was very cool.
Say that you have more compassion for people who are blind every day, who can't see every day?
Yes. I mean, I thought it would be that hard, and it was very weird. It was a weird experience, but I did it, and I think maybe if you have the time or the space, Just tie a sock around your head and don't look around for 18 hours.
It's a wonderful practice. All of these practices, by the way, also can help cultivate a strong inner world. In life, sometimes you have to know how to be a boss on your insides, to not let a mean word out, maybe to not let your anger out on somebody. And so we're hoping to strengthen that inner muscle in the children. This summer, there's a new practice that emerged. It's called the Tie Together Challenge. And many of the campers have found buddies and tied their hands together. It started off, I think, the first children to try it did it for 20 minutes, then 30 minutes. The current record at camp is we have campers who have been tied together for over 72 hours. Learning how to move together, how to decide together, how to work through differences together. You've been tied together, is that right?
Yeah. And also, so this has gotten to 72 hours, so...
Wait. You've been tied together for 72 minutes? That's a crazy amount of time.
72 hours.
72 minutes. Could you imagine being tied together for 72 minutes? What?
Since the first time, and that's actually the record so far, so in
Can you
an
say that
hour-
a little bit slower and tell the people at home how long you've been
Okay.
tied together for?
Okay,
72
hours. But
Hours.
So that's the record right now.
Slow down. So you're going too fast.
So that's the record right now.
They've been tied together for 72 hours. Let that sink in a little bit. Could you do that? Could you stay tied successfully to someone and not be killing them? And look at them. They're still dear friends. Real quickly, what are some of the lessons you've learned, like to do it successfully, to stay in a good harmony together? What are some lessons? Tell the people at home. They're right over there.
Well, most of the time, we'll just say what we want to do, and we'll say, okay, you can go first. And then we start saying, no, you can, and then we just end up going to wherever we go as we decide who can. And we make schedules and stuff. And another thing is, in an hour, we will have beaten the record for this, and we're excited for that. And Lulu, do you have anything to say about this?
Yeah, sometimes we have to make sacrifices. Like Ella, we had different hoogs for the past 2 days when we were tied, and that was problematic because both of them were different hoogs. Luckily, though, my hoog was on the art patio, hers was in the art room, which are right next to each other. So what we did was, so she was bookmaking and I was candlestick making. So when I was finishing up my candlesticks, she sat with me, and then she wrote her book. And then when I was done making my candlesticks, then she went over to her hoog and she got her book binded.
But guess what happened then? This is the sacrifice part. I actually got my book in green paint, and now the corner has green paint on it. But I think it actually looks kind of cool.
I want to ask you one last question. It's a very deep question. I'm sorry for putting you on the spot with this epically huge question, okay? It's a big one. What would you say that you've learned about yourself or about life from being tied together with another humanoid for over 72 hours? What's something you've learned about yourself and or about life?
Well, I learned that myself, I actually have worse decision-making skills than I can most of the time. And it's actually hard to make decisions, like deciding between two things. And I've learned to get through that, and that sometimes you gotta just agree with somebody and be like, hey, I'll do your thing instead of my thing. It's fine.
So these are a taste of some of the alternative spiritual practices besides just regular prayer and blessings that we do here at Eden Village Camp. I want to encourage you to stretch your spiritual practices and maybe to try some things that are edge experiences, to push yourself to your spiritual edge. If our children can do it, you can too. Oh, here's someone right now, actually. This is a dear friend of mine, Aura. Hey, Aura.
Hey.
We were just talking about doing different types of spiritual practices, speech fasts and vision fasts, and I have a very clear image in my head of you walking around this camp for hours and hours with a friend guiding you. You want to tell the folks at home about your experience vision fasting?
Well, I learned so many things from vision fasting. I learned how much I use my sight in my daily life. I learned how when I don't have my sight, I'll have visual memories of the day that my mind created. I learn how much my imagination and my knowledge of the world already contributes to what I think I'm seeing around me all the time. I think the one thing you can never learn from a vision fast is what it's like to actually be blind. My blind friends don't do what I did, which is have a guide around them all the time. I think I could learn a lot from them in how to navigate the world. But I learned a lot about myself and how all of my senses connect. I thought my world shrank because I became aware of so much that was closer to me, and at first much less aware of things that were further away. But really, the world closer to me grew, and I became so much more aware of how I interact with the things immediately around me. The other thing I think is huge about vision fasting is you become aware of the give and take between yourself and the community. To what extent am I taking from others? To what extent, when I am taking from others, is that me taking things away from them? How much am I giving to other people? When others help me, when is it a burden and when is it not? Because communities hold each other up. Individuals don't hold the community back. And I think that it was an excellent opportunity for my bunk and the camp to learn together.
Yeah, I think part of doing a vision fast, from what I've experienced, is like you have to humble yourself and you have to allow someone to help you.
Yes.
I know sometimes we try to move through this world as autonomous little do-it-all-myselfers. When you're vision fasting, you need help from your friends. Lastly, I just want to ask you, everybody knows the word Judaism literally means the grateful people, the people who appreciate things. That's what the word literally means. And we do have a blessing in the morning that says, thank you that my eyes work. Can you just share what appreciation you have grown through vision fasting?
I definitely use my eyes for a lot of things I didn't realize I used them for. I think I realized that there were ways to do a lot of those things without my eyes, but that doing those same things in a way that didn't use my eyes was doing them in a different way. And so when I say Pokeach Ivrim in the morning, when I thank God for the use of my eyes, I'm thanking God for a life where I live the way I know, where I do things this way, in the way that is familiar to me.